All right. Welcome to what's this, day 10 of containment? Let me get on screen. My name is Nate. I don't even think there's going to be anybody even here watching this stuff today. So if you're tired of talking about coronavirus, then you won't like this stream because it's all about coronavirus, and Trump. How's everybody doing out there? My name is Nate, and today is day 10, locked up in the apartment with the kids. It's funny because I remember I was having a joke with someone else about what's going. Well, I have a lot of Trump supporters, friends that that are like hardcore Trump supporters. So and it's funny because we actually agree on most things and we disagree on some things. And one of the things that we disagree on is Trump's response to the coronavirus outbreak. And so one of my friends, we were talking because he's at home with his two kids too. So we were talking, and he tells me, he says, "Hey, listen, Obama did bad with swine flu, and Trump is doing so great." So I said, when Obama during swine flu and H1N1, with Obama, there was like 1 million people tested. We were all good. We didn't have any problems. Now with Trump, me and him are sheltering in place with our families. So he got pretty upset about that. So I haven't spoken to him, but it is what it is. So yeah. So let me put my homeboy, the lamp. Sorry for those who come to see the lamp, but the lamp has been out of focus. Got to put the lamp back. Put you back in, baby. Come on, lamp. Get back here. All right. So there's the lamp. Damn, I don't know. The lamp is just not acting right today. So Nate Brody's lamp. Let me see what's going on in the chat. I'm midweek 3. Stay safe. Yes. Just going through some of this. The super chats. Good morning, Positively Godless. Dove Kitty, what's going on? Yes, I'm trying to stay safe. Hello. Who else is there? Casey, good morning. Sheer victory, sheer defeat. That's true. Amen to that. Sheer victory. We are trying to make it happen. 3 weeks in, huh? Carlos, what's going on? Yo, I heard Puerto Rico. They taking some extreme measures. It's like one of the things in Puerto Rico they're doing is it depends on what your license plate. Like if you got an odd numbers license plate versus an even numbers license plate, determines whether you could be on the road or not. So, hey, I'm not sure if you live in Puerto Rico, but Puerto Rico, they're taking it very seriously. All right, hey Parson, love you, man. What's going on? Good morning, Fiona. We just talked. It's funny because I was just talking to Fiona and my daughter. For some reason, she uses the bathroom now, so I had to rush in there, and now I got poop on the floor. It's a madness, but thank God for Clorox wipes, which are running out. Vincent, what's going on? Had to call in to work this morning. I don't think they're gonna bother you about sick days this morning. So how's everybody else doing? Trump is doing it. All right, let's see this. Trump is doing a fantastic job dealing with the virus. I don't care what anyone thinks. Hey. He his fantastic job is not having enough ventilators. Don't get me wrong. I think a lot of prevention could have happened, but we'll talk about Trump's threats to sue people and all this other stuff in a second. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is the big news. Obviously, this morning, Boris Johnson was found to test positive for coronavirus. So for all my UK fans, let's listen to the news media talk about Boris Johnson. So this is hot off the presses. I know this is not what the stream was originally about, but we got news, and this is news. So let's talk about Boris Johnson. Let me redo this so you can share the audio. Let's watch Boris Johnson realize that he is positive. So here we go. Boris Johnson, Prime Minister of the UK. Test positive.
Breaking news out of the UK. Boris Johnson, British Prime Minister, testing positive for the virus. Here.
Yeah, that's right. We've just heard this news. Boris Johnson himself actually tweeting the news on a video message that it almost looks a little like a kind of a selfie video. And I imagine that is because he will have been immediately self-isolating. Of course, it appears that from that video that he's in Downing Street, sitting in a leather chair, describing himself as having tested positive for coronavirus, but that he has mild symptoms. If the British Prime Minister was sicker than that, then the British Foreign Secretary would take over leadership of the country, Dominic Raab. For now, though, the Prime Minister saying that he intends to continue his work leading the country, albeit by video conference. So trying to reassure people whilst letting people know that he has tested positive. But of course, even while Europe is looking like it's managing to control infections, for here in the UK, this news will come as something as a blow, Mika.
Hey, Keir, it's Willie. It was just Monday that the Prime Minister issued the 3-week lockdown of the country where you're standing right now. I know it's early and we've just learned this news that the Boris Johnson has tested positive for coronavirus. But is there any sense among your sources, people you talk to, that his own test or his own suspicion that he may have, in fact, contracted coronavirus impacted that decision?
Wow.
I don't think that is likely. If he just tested, we know, for example, from what happened with Prince Charles, that he began to get symptoms and was tested pretty quickly, or the day afterwards, pretty much,
wow.
And then got the results back a day later. We don't.
So, Boris Johnson, pre-em, positive for coronavirus, and the health minister and the heir to the throne, the heir to the British throne. So those are 3 high-level people who tested positive. Yeah, Navaya, get over here, bar. My daughter now wants a bar. You know, snack time. So yeah, so all the top people, seems like in the British government, are testing positive for coronavirus. So, you know, but again, what do they say? Like 70% of the people in the population should get it. You know, they are part of the population. So, so Boris, so breaking news for anybody who doesn't know, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, heir to the British throne, Prince Charles, and their UK Health Minister, all positive for coronavirus. What can you do? What can you do? So, now, after we've seen the horror show that's been going on in the UK, I do want to mention something that most probably people haven't heard. Yesterday, the Trump administration talked about some of the modeling that's coming out for Europe and specifically for the UK. Now, the UK was projected to lose about 500,000 people, and now the projections have changed to about 20,000 people, which is a great plus. Now, in New York City in the United States, we're still on track for 2 million people. Don't be fooled. But it's good to see that those numbers are going down, and now they're trying to figure out why those projections now starting to go down, and so forth and so forth. So we'll see if those projections were on target. You know, I'm almost it's like a double-edged sword, because if the projections are off, then it's going to have people be less trustworthy, you know, trusting of the science later. But if the projections are on target, then people will be more trusting of the science. But it's like you got to lose 100 million people to be trusting of the model. So it's that double-edged sword. You want to say hi? Hi. Say hello.
Hello.
Now go eat your bar. That's a cameo from literally the crumb snatcher. She just snatched some crumbs and ran out of here. So that's right. Continue to shelter in place, because we're sheltering in place. So let's now look at what you guys came here for. All right. So switching gears to our next story. Now, Donald Trump and the Trump campaign have been sending out cease and desist orders to news organizations and local media who are playing the ads that I'm about to show you now. So they're saying, if you play this ad, Trump is going to sue you. Now, these ads are from Priorities USA. Now, just so we're all clear on the same page, Priorities USA is a left-wing hit group. No doubt about it. They are a super PAC who want to get Democrats elected. So this is where this information is coming from. Take it for what you will. Let me see. Hold on. Here we go. For one thing. Wait, did you say New York or the U.S. expected to lose 2 million people? That's the U.S. based on the current trend. I think they said could be up to actually like 5 or 10 million people, but the current trend I think is like 2 million people right now. That's what the trend is. I'm actually going to do another video on the math so we can see like what the trends are. But I think the trend now is about 2 million people, if continuing on our exponential growth path. So yeah, they're talking about 2 million people. And New York is supposed to be it's going to be big. And again, a lot of those people won't be coronavirus people who've gotten the virus. It'll be for other things, because if the hospitals are overrun, where there's no hospital beds, and people would have died who would have survived, like a car accident, are going to die because there just won't be any room in the hospital to treat them. So that's what those projections are. But again, those projections, they're projections. They could be right, they could be wrong. So we'll see. I'm hoping they're wrong. I hope the projections are wrong. Let's just make it very clear. But the numbers are but the last ones, the CDC was put out from anywhere between 100,000 to 2 million people. That's the CDC's numbers. And I'll throw a link in the description for anybody who wants to see that. All right. The lamp has a pretty hat. Yes, the lamp. All right, so let's go to our first video so we can be sued by President Trump and the Trump campaign. So this first video is, again, by a Democratic, super left-leaning, progressive, let's get Trump out of office group. And this is called Exponential Threat. Hold on. I think I have to do this one more time so I can share the audio. Yes. So I forgot to click the stupid share audio box. Here we go. So, exponential threat. Will Trump sue me for this video? Let's see.
The coronavirus.
This is their new hoax.
We have it totally under control. It's one person coming in from China.
One day it's like a miracle, it will disappear.
When you have 15 people, and within a couple of days it's going to be down to close to zero, we really think we've done a great job in keeping it down to a minimum.
I like this stuff. I really get it. People are surprised that I understand it.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
Priorities USA Action is responsible for the content of this ad.
I don't know. It's a hard-hitting ad. I think it's a hard-hitting ad, but it just, it says what he said. At first he said it was a hoax, it was this, and now he started taking it seriously. I don't know. Do you guys think the ad's such a bad ad where he can sue people because he thinks it's false? It's just, taking the numbers and playing it over time. So, Trump thinks that ad is so horrible that if you play it on TV, he's going to sue the television station. He's not going to sue the PAC. He's going to sue the station. There is nothing false in this ad. I don't know. Trump says it's all false. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think there's anything false. Let me know in the comment section. It just takes his words and then putting the death toll up at the time he was saying it. So it's called Exponential Threat. Priorities USA. I'm not even going to put the link because they're a left wing. I like this question. Hold on, let me hear the question. It says, what would he sue for? Sue him for defamation. He says he's threatening. I'm assuming defamation, but it's not defamation because it's true. He said it on that day. He said it. Let's look at the ad again. Did I close it? Well, you know what? Let's look at the second ad because the second ad is the same thing. So I don't want to hold you guys up looking at this one ad. But here's the second ad. Again, these are two ads that if local news areas run the ads, he says that he will. Hold on. Do I have it? Yes. Okay. He says he will sue. So here is the second ad that he is going to sue you for, or the Trump campaign. It's a 15-second ad. Let me make sure you guys can hear this with the audio. There we go. All right. Here we go. 15-second ad. Let's get sued.
I don't take responsibility at all.
The coronavirus. This is their new hoax.
We have it totally under control. I think we've done a great job. I'd rate it a 10. We've been given rave reviews. I don't take responsibility at all.
I don't know. I don't know. They're attack ads. I expect Priorities USA to make attack ads. You know, that's what they do, and so people could see that this is, this is a very, very, very left leaning group. Let me go back to show you some of their other ads. No, this is not Priorities USA.
I don't take responsibility at all.
The coronavirus.
So here's Priorities USA, and I'll show you. Just look at this video about being prepared. Like this is their Joe Biden video.
An economy in free fall, government unprepared. And what does Donald Trump have to say?
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
I can promise you this: when I'm president, we will be.
You see,
prepared,
this is who they want. This is who they want to
lead
be.
with science.
This is what we're
I'll
talking
always
about.
tell you the truth, because in times of crisis, the American people always stand as one if told the truth.
Priorities USA Action is responsible for the content of this ad.
So obviously, take that ad, the Trump ad. Now, I don't think he should sue anybody over it, but take the Trump ad for what it's worth. You know what I mean? It's from a political action group who wants to make Trump look bad. So, I wouldn't actually be watching the ad if Trump didn't make such a big deal out of it. Let me see. Here's another question. What if the president had never had an attack ad, even Obama? And he was like, God, hold on. Let me see. What president has never had an attack ad, even Obama? And he has, yes. I don't know. I think, again, the only reason why we're even watching the ad is because he's making such a big deal out of it. You know what I'm saying? He's saying he's gonna sue people who play the ad. So, I'm waiting for my paperwork now. You know what I'm saying? It's just silly, So, as you guys know, one of the few things that we do here every morning is look at local news. So I'll give you some examples of local news. There are two things that are happening here in the New York area. Now, for those of you who don't know, the borough of Queens in New York has 5 boroughs, and really they're 5 counties. The Bronx County, Manhattan County, Kings County, which is Brooklyn, Queens County, which is Staten Island, and then you have Richmond County or Staten Island. So Richmond County and Staten Island are the same. Now, Queens has, for instance, the last time I checked, had 6,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus, where most of the other boroughs have about 3, and Staten Island's even lower. But now Queens is like the epicenter of the epicenter. That's where you're getting all the highest viruses. And there's a hospital in Queens called Elmhurst Hospital, and that hospital is being overrun. Most people, I think, overseas don't understand, like in the United States, we have both public care and we have private care. In New York City, you have a lot of public hospitals. And if you're poor and you don't have any money, most people just go to the public hospitals. Elmhurst Hospital happens to be one of them. And then you have the private hospitals, and those hospitals, even though they have emergency rooms, they don't, they are like the second wave of hospitals. So if you need help, most people who don't have any money go to the public hospitals because you don't have to really pay anything. So that's what this is about. So in the BX is actually all right. It's but the hospitals are, like for instance, the hospitals around here, the people are waiting outside for the emergency room. So the wait for the emergency room, the waiting room is starting to become like around the block. So it's really, really bad in terms of the emergency room isn't the emergency room anymore. You're waiting 3, and it's interesting because in New York, you'd wait like 2-3 hours in the emergency room anyway, if you had some non-life threatening illness. But here, like now, that wait is like maybe 6 hours. Going to the emergency room, you might as well just, make an appointment with a regular doctor. I'm in New York, and most of the affected areas are heavily Asian Chinese areas in Elmhurst, Flushing. Oh, maybe. I don't know. But it's one thing that they were saying is that the reason why some places, because if you look at air travel, the airport, like Brooklyn and Queens are the 2 most heavily affected areas in New York City, but they're both in Queens. Both our airports, our international airports, are in Queens. JFK, even though JFK is in Queens, and what's it called? LaGuardia is in Queens. So that just makes sense because all your air travel is coming in through the air into Queens. So Queens is going to be the epicenter because it has the two airports where people who are flying from China, flying from Europe are coming into the city. You know, you're gonna. It makes sense that that place would be seated earlier. Here we go. All of them poor folks that have to use Bronx, Lebanon. I feel sorry. Yeah. Well, it's no, it's not even called Bronx, Lebanon anymore. They changed the name of the hospital. So, all right. So let's watch the new local news. Here we go. So this is what's going on in Queens, in Elmhurst Hospital, as of last night. So let me. I hate. You know what? One thing I hate about StreamYards is that you always have to click this little button down here at the bottom, which I always click, but then it doesn't show up. So here we go. This is what's going on in Queens.
All the patients in this room, all the feet that you see, they all have COVID. And this is only one of the several rooms.
Yeah, they make it makeshift morgues outside the hospital.
All these ventilators that we're told are coming but haven't really started to materialize. Are they really coming? Will we really get them? I have never seen the increase in volume as fast as it has. The frustrating thing about all of this is it really just feels like it's too little too late. Like we knew it was coming.
Oof, yeah, but that's that's what the news is like nowadays. That's what the news is like. Here's, let me change this up so we can see what Governor Cuomo said yesterday. He is the guy who's keeping us all supposedly safe. He's doing the best he can, working with Trump and the people up top. So here's another piece of local news for you. Let's see what's going on. Tell us, Governor Cuomo, what's up?
Almost any scenario that is realistic will overwhelm the capacity of the current healthcare system. So, little reality. Keep the curve down as low as you can, but you cannot get the curve down low enough so that you don't overwhelm the hospital capacity. So
he's saying that
we have to increase the hospital capacity.
He said hospital capacity is going to be overrun unless we do something.
Literally adding to the hospital capacity every way we can. That's what the Javits Hospital is about. That's what the Stony Brook Hospital is about. That's what Westchester Convention Center. That's what the old Westbury additional site is. We're also scouting new sites now, all across primarily the downstate area of this state.
This is where they want to build hospitals. Sites. They're trying to build hospitals.
Our goal is to have a 1,000 plus overflow facility in each of the boroughs downstate in the counties.
That's 5,000.
Queens, Brooklyn, the New York City boroughs, Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island, and Long Island, Nassau, Suffolk, and Westchester, and Rockland. So every county has
each white name on that list is 1,000 more beds.
Overflow facility. And that's what we're working on at the same time.
10,000 beds?
As well as increasing the capacity of the existing hospital system, as we've said.
So just one thing that he said that I think most people have to understand too, is that he's saying, even if on the best case scenario we see, no matter what the projections are, the best case scenario, the hospitals are overrun. So they have to build more hospital capacity. Now, for those of you who think that's BS, why do you think the Navy is sending a hospital ship here with 1,000 beds? Why do you think they have the cruise ships, docking cruise ships with 3,000 people capacity on the west side? And then why do you think they're building field hospitals like the Javits Center, which is 1,000 hospital beds? They're doing all this. They're investing all this money into these because they know that eventually it's going to be overrun. And that is the problem. This is what he's talking about. Let's continue.
The hospitals have a 53,000 bed capacity. We're trying to get to 140,000 bed capacity between the hospitals and the overflow facilities.
Now, this is always a problem. If you only have 53,000 hospital beds, but you have 100,000 patients, which I think they expect 140,000 patients all at one time in a short amount of time, then you just don't have, then you just need more hospital beds. So that's the problem. The problem is that you need more hospital beds because you expect to have more people needing them than you have them. And again, this is the race. And one great thing that I forgot to mention too, which I think needs to be mentioned in all this sorrow, is that New York State asked, that doctors and nurses, anybody, if you had any experience in the medical field, they were begging you, please come. We will put you to work. We need more. 40,000 people who had experience in the healthcare field, either left the field or had some training, answered the call. So the staffing may not be as big of an issue because you have 40,000 people saying, hey, we're down, we're trained, and we're ready to get back to it. So that may not, so thank God for that. That was a big issue because you got the hospital beds and you got nobody to staff the damn beds. Then you still got the same problem. But now at least you got 40,000 people who stepped up, doctors, nurses, physician assistants, all those people who are saying we are willing to go into the bomb and help these people out. So, thank God for the human condition. Thank God for those people. And I think that, it's not all bad news. That, brings tears to people's eyes, because those are people who are coming to the aid of fellow human beings who don't need to. Those people have left the healthcare field and now are coming back. So now let's finish off with the governor. This was a 2-minute video. Yeah, we almost finished.
We've mandated that the hospitals increase their capacity by 50%. We've asked them to try to increase it 100%. But they have to increase it 50%. We're also scouting dorms, scouting hotels for emergency beds, and that's going well.
So that's what's happening in NYC. That is what's happening in NYC. So now I know there's been a lot of doom and gloom. I know, like Trump yesterday said, well, every hospital has maybe 1 or 2 ventilators. Now all of a sudden you need 1,000. Well, yeah, because you got a virus that is putting people on ventilators. Think about this. The numbers from New York, which the most troubling number from New York, wasn't the infection rate, but it was actually the amount of time people were on ventilators. Because let's say if you had the 50,000 ventilators, if people are on the ventilators for 30 days or for a month, then that ventilator is out of commission for a month. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you can just take that person off the ventilator and put them on and put somebody else on the ventilator. So it's also the amount of time it takes people to get on and off ventilators. So here, I think the average was like 20 days. If somebody's on the ventilator for 20 days, that's 20 days that ventilator's out of commission, whether somebody can be on the ventilator for maybe a week. So, all these things are stretching resources and all that stuff. All right, this is Carlos. Carlos, you're in Elmhurst. It is in New York because you're not a New Yorker. It's IA when New Yorkers are accessing Chinese in New York. What? I don't know what you're saying. I don't know. Is that one of these Chinese virus things? I'm not too sure. But hey, listen, the areas that are affected, I'm not sure if Elmhurst, maybe, and if let's say if I'm have family from China and I've traveled to New York and it just happened, I don't understand. It's a virus, it's a virus that happened in China, like the Spanish flu happened here in the United States. It killed 500 million people. So I don't know. I'm trying to understand the link between being in Chinese areas versus it being in, it could be anything. The swine flu is Mexican. Maybe. I don't know. All right. How many Chinese people in northern Italy have the virus? Not a zip code. That's true. Yeah. I wonder how many people in northern Italy are from China. But again, it's sad. So the last piece about this is the exponential growth piece. The virus in New York City, every 2 days, it was doubling every 2 days. But because I think of the measures, it's starting to double every 3 days. So just imagine the amount of people who are infected seems to be doubling every 3 days. Now, one of the biggest issues that I think a lot of people were Well, a lot of my conservative friends were telling me, and some of my, and I'll say this, my liberal friends, I think, are too, the end of the world. Oh my God, it's the end of the world. But then I think my conservative friends are too, everything's going to be all right. You know what I'm saying? So just so people can understand what's going on and why people are freaking out. If let's say we throw away all the projections, because obviously all of this has been based on projection models, that eventually there may be 20 million people in the United States dead, or 2 million people dead because we have to slow the infection rate. But let's put that to the side. Right now we're in a situation where we're seeing here in New York, as you can hear the sirens go outside. You're in a situation here in New York where 1 week you see maybe 100 patients come in with a virus. 2 days later, now you got 200. 2 days after that, you got 400. 2 days after that, you got 800. So every couple of days, you now see a doubling in the cases that are coming to the hospital. Without anything else, I'm thinking we got a problem that we got to solve, because eventually that number doubling is going to get to a point where there's no, I don't have enough room in the hospital is stationary. There's just not enough hospital beds. What can I do? You know what I'm saying? I got 1,000 beds, and in 4 days, and in 2 weeks, I'm at 800 people who need beds. So that's the problem. It's not the fact. Now I understand all the modeling and people saying the models might be wrong in this, but the reality on the ground, the reality in Elmhurst Hospital, is that you have X amount of patients coming in every day, and that number growing without anything else. So now that is the piece that you want to stop. You want to stop people from coming to the hospitals who are sick, and the way people are getting sick is that they're transmitting the virus to people. So just the most simplest piece about it. If you were a governor, if you were mayor, if you were president, and you saw this without anything else, you would have to stop that in some way. And that's what's going on. That's what's going on right now. And that's the simplest piece of it. There is no winning. That's true. So hopefully everybody understands. I think sometimes people, they confuse modeling projections with the reality on the ground. And the reality on the ground is you're getting, you're doubling. Well, actually, at one point you were tripling, but you're doubling the amount of cases you have, and you're doubling the amount of people going to hospitals to be treated for an illness every 2 to 3 days. That's crazy. And until that stops, you got a problem. And you can forecast out the next day. Well, 2 days later, I had 800 people. 2 days later, if the trend starts going like the past 5 days, I'm going to have 1,600 people. That's a problem. So that's what we want to think about. I'm going to be less on the projections, just more on the reality. Now, this is the last video I want to show you. This video is, again, it's local news. It's local news from New York City, and it's just local news about the hospitals and how they're doing. So let me just pull up this last video. Now, again, if you guys don't, I know it's all doom and gloom, but this is what they're having us watch. So, oops. So let me turn this so you guys can see it before we leave. This is going to be our last video. This is CBS 2 News. Oops, let me hit audio and share. Baby, turn that down a little bit. my daughter's handling. She's on the lights. All right. Here we go.
Will be on the front lines in this war against the coronavirus. In Elmhurst, Queens, that hospital there, lines of people lining up already this morning for about the last 45 minutes. Confirmed cases, people waiting to get tested.
This is today.
Supplies are in demand there. And our CBS News' Rena Roy is live outside Elmhurst Hospital in Queens with more on the situation there. Rena?
What's going on, Rena?
Well, Chris, you said it. Elmhurst Hospital is really at the center of this crisis here in the city and in the country, with doctors desperately trying to keep up with the growing number of patients as supplies dwindle. You can see barricades behind us set up here outside of the hospital to keep order here because
you see all those people outside
have been lining up every day to get tested. As you said, some of them showing up about 45 minutes ago, as early as 5:30 this morning. Most of them wearing masks here in the borough that accounts for nearly a third.
That's not social distancing.
Cases in the city.
That's not social distancing.
At Elmhurst Hospital, lines of people outside wait to get tested. A refrigerated truck has now been brought in here, a makeshift morgue. In just one day, 13 people died from coronavirus here.
We sent over 40 additional ventilators that have arrived at Elmhurst. We also sent today to Elmhurst Hospital 56 additional staff members to deal with the challenges that they're facing.
They all have COVID.
This video by the New York Times, taken by an emergency care physician there, shows how stretched they are.
I want people to know that this is bad. People are dying. We don't have the tools that we need.
City ambulances have seen a surge in calls, responding to nearly 5,800 Thursday.
From the perspective of being properly prepared, the training is there, the equipment is not.
Over at the Javits Center, where 4 temporary hospitals will be set up, cots are assembled, an alternate site to ease the bed shortage at New York hospitals. Mayor de Blasio keeps calling on the federal government to do more to provide desperately needed supplies, like ventilators, as the seemingly never-ending loop for doctors on the front lines continues.
People come in, they get intubated, they die, the cycle repeats.
Wow.
And back here live, another look at the line forming in just the last 45 minutes ago. People wearing masks waiting to be tested here at Elmhurst Hospital.
They got to socially distance.
Unfortunately, is just the beginning, with the crisis expected to last for months and the peak of it all still on the horizon. We are live in Elmhurst, Queens this morning. Rena Roy, CBS 2 News.
Rena, thank you.
So that's what's going on in New York as of right now. Now, there are a couple of I want to kind of put away all some of the false narratives that are being pointed out there. So we have to talk about that. Number one, everybody who needs a ventilator is able to get a ventilator now. People aren't dying in the hallways waiting for ventilators. That's a good thing. So, I've saw some things online where people are saying people in New York are dying waiting for ventilators. That's not happening. If you need a ventilator, you can. The hospitals are probably almost at or at capacity, especially places like Elmhurst and things of that nature. So what they've been doing is taking those patients and spreading them out, so that that's just the reality of it. But it's not overrun now, where people as of right now are not dying waiting for ventilators or waiting for care. A very good thing. And the second thing is, last week, and this is just an update, last week Mayor de Blasio said by the end of this week, if he didn't get supplies, people are going to be dying waiting for supplies. They got supplies. So now that time frame has been pushed on to a later time frame, to another week, to next week. So I think he said they have now 2 weeks worth of supplies. Again, a good thing. They only had 1 week. Now they have 2 weeks. So we have to take the good news too. And the projections in England that now have adjusted too. Those are all good news. Let me read some of these chats. Again, you guys forget, there's no work, even though now, lawyers have been essential personnel, but I got my cases are on hold. So, this is my only source of income now, unfortunately, especially with savings. And hey, the stock market's starting to go up, but I still think I'm still think it's going to tank before I buy anything. It's just too volatile. I know they passed the stimulus package, but if they're saying that things should bottom out, and we're right there at the tip, so we'll see what happens there. If things get worse than what it is now, just going to tank out. And the last projection that I saw with how long this will have to continue to shelter in place is going to be like 12 months. So you're talking about a year's worth of something like this, where you'd have peaks, and sometimes we'll have to shelter in place to kind of slow the virus down, and then we'll go back to normal life. So if that's still the case, then we got to get adjusted to that. And I still think you still have an economic impact for that. Let me look at the chat before I leave. All right. So I'll start. I'm going to just scroll up randomly to somewhere. All right. So here's Nate Brody. Question: Is Trump's threat to sue a case of the threat being stronger than the execution? Well, yeah, because Trump does not want people to see. He's trying to make it seem like he's always been doing the right thing when it comes to this virus, and he hasn't. So, like, there are a couple of things that I think everyone could admit Trump could have done differently. The first thing is the pandemic response team that he disbanded, and that was in China, the one that helped us with SARS and Ebola, and all these other things to stop the spread of those pandemics. Trump didn't focus in on that. So that's a problem, and he wasn't responsible. So, he's trying to make it seem like he was always on top of it. And I think those videos, we'll watch them again before we get out of here. Oh, I got a $5 super chat from Angry Roach. Roach, what's going on? Good luck out there, Nate. Thank you so much. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. And we're gonna need to buy some toilet paper because toilet paper is a hot commodity now. Here is Nestling. The USA has now the most confirmed cases in the world, including China. But who trusts China's numbers? Do you trust China's numbers? Like, I don't know. I think China has a lot more numbers than they're putting forward. But hey, I would say the U.S. is number one, but let's I think China's numbers are going to be are interesting enough. So before we get out of here, some people were asking about the Turning Point USA video again. So I'll play that one more time so you guys can see. And again, Turning Point USA is a left-wing hit job against President Trump. So this is not, I do not approve this message. So people understand, I do not approve this message, but Turning Point USA is the reason why we're going to be watching this again, is because Trump is threatening to sue people who are playing. So maybe I might get my lawsuit in the mail, my paperwork in the mail, my summons and complaint, which I believe is probably not going to happen. Let me see. Somebody tagged me. The U.S. has many more infected people than we know about. That's true. That is very true, Seth. Let's see. Nate Brody, time to invest in toilet paper futures. Oh man, I wish I got on that. All right, so I'm trying to answer some of these questions. All right, anybody who's tagged me, here we go. Nate Brody, yeah, that's fair. China isn't really open about this. Yeah, that's true. Here we go. America first, as always, Barney, as always. Next one, Nate Brody. Time to invest in toilet paper futures. We saw that one. Yes. The U.S. Let me see if there's anything else here. Let me put you up, Sol. In the future, we need to bring in manufacturing facilities. Yes. And this is one of the problems with World War II. The reason why we were so successful is because we were able to manufacture everything here. But now since now China and South Korea is doing all our manufacturing, now we're in this hole. We can't manufacture stuff for ourselves. But I think that's a lesson learned. I think Trump has made that very clear. Here we go. Barney, is Trump's threat to sue a violation of the First Amendment of government? Yes, of course it is. Well, don't forget, it's not Trump. It's Trump's campaign. So the campaign is a private party, and Turning Point USA is a private party. So, you can, but it's interesting because I think Trump's claims, even if it wasn't, I think in violation of the First Amendment, because he is, he's president. I think the claim is going to fail because he's a public figure, and only thing they're doing is playing clips of him saying stuff that he said, and when he said them. So let's look at the clip again to see. But let's see if he has, if Trump has a claim for defamation, possibly. Let's play. This is the one that really bothers him. So we'll play the worst one. This is a 30-second video. Turning again. So nobody's fooled. Turning Point USA is a left-wing super PAC. They're not by any means fair. So last time we were going to play it. Oops. I always do this. Here we go. Share audio. And exponential threat. Here we go.
the coronavirus.
This is their new hoax.
We have it totally under control. It's one person coming in from China. One day it's like a miracle. It will disappear. When you have 15 people and within a
Now hold on, I want to roll it back because so what they're doing is playing what Trump said and they're showing the current death rate. So if we look here,
coronavirus.
This is their new hoax.
so he said this is their new hoax, and there was 4 deaths at the time he said this, right?
We have it totally under control.
We have it totally under control is when they had 6 deaths.
It's one person coming in.
One person coming in from China.
From China. One day it's like a miracle. It will disappear. When you have 15 people and within a couple of days it's going to be down to close to zero, we really think we've done a great job in keeping it down to a minimum.
I like this stuff. I really get it. People are surprised that I understand it.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
Priorities USA Action is responsible for the content of this ad.
Now it's interesting. He's not suing now just to be clear too. Trump is not suing Priorities USA. He's not suing these people. He's not suing them. He's saying he's threatening to sue anybody who plays that video. So that's where we're at. Barney says not death rate, case rate. That's true. Yes, not death rate, case rate. So yeah, those were yes, not deaths, but case. I'm sorry, I misspoke. So these were amount of cases, not the death rate. I apologize. Nate Brody, not deaths. X-axis, yes, cases. Oh yes. Oh wow, I got 3. Boy, I must have. Now you got to make me feel like I got to play it again. But yes, death rate, not death rate, case rate versus time. So I don't know. Do you guys think he can win a defamation? Do you think that's defamatory? Number one, does anybody think this ad by Turning Points USA is defamatory? Like honestly, I think it doesn't make him look good. I think it makes him look horrible. But it is what it is.
One day it's like a miracle. It will.
Yeah, it just is what it is. He said these things at this particular point in time. So, what do you think? Matter of fact, Carlos, what do you think? Let's see, Carlos. Let me see. I think your one worries about race. It clearly states the fact that because you don't live in New York, you can't prove me wrong. I don't know who you're arguing with, Carlos. Of course, not all people are showing the same symptoms. Yeah. But one of the biggest issues is that people who are asymptomatic, the asymptomatic people, where you can be infected and not know it, and then you can easily spread it. So, here it is. You can't defame yourself. That's true. This is what he said. It is factually correct, even if it's cherry picked. Yeah, that's true. It is factually correct. He did say these things at these particular times. I don't see how this could be defamatory. Because don't forget, defamatory means it's a false statement. So you're talking about a false statement. This is false. What false, and by having the person play what they said, I don't see how it's a false statement. Let me see. The best evidence is a weak defamation, and they took me out of context. But taking me out of context is not a lie. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Taking me out of context is not a lie. The statement has to be false. Let me see. I don't think it makes him look horrible. Maybe mildly bad. Yeah. But again, he thinks it makes it look worse than this. He is defaming himself in the videos. It's true. Incubation period is 14 to 30 days. Again, if you look at the Journal of American Medical Association, they have the hospital stay. The average length of hospital stay is 10 days. So they have the guidelines from 7 to 14 days. That's when they expect people to be. I know New York has seen between 20 and 30 days, but they have seen less. So, I think the more numbers you get, the more data you get, the better your averages will be. But right now, I think it can be up to 30 days because I know, but I don't know, that could just be one guy who was 30 days, so I don't know where the governor's getting that number. But the average is from everywhere else, from South Korea, from China, from everywhere. It's about 7 to 14 days, average being 10. The numbers are based upon who lives in those neighborhoods. Yeah, but again, maybe I don't know the context of this conversation. So, all right. Well, listen, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed my daily update. I know I didn't do one yesterday because I got school to teach. I'm the new school teacher for the kids, so that's just the way It makes it happen. So I got to now go start teaching the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s and making sure everybody does what they got to do. Well, let me take a couple of more of these before I get out of here. Let me see. So here it is. Any statement can be both true and false if done properly. I'm not too sure about that because the law is very specific. It's got to be a false statement. It's got to be objectively false. If a statement can be true and both false, then it is not defamation because defamation is a false statement. If I say a statement that could be true or could be false, that's what they call an opinion and therefore not defamatory. So yes, so if a statement must be objectively true, you must be able to prove that statement to be false. Thank you, Kiki. I definitely will. I'll try to. This one says Trump always have the dumbest way of saying something, but people have been saying it's not so bad, but don't worry about it all along. He's not the only one. That's true. I think Trump doesn't know what he's doing. He's just kind of just doing whatever he does. I don't think he understands it, which is sad. Because at that level he should understand it. Nate Brody. He is saying that the virus somehow affects people differently based on their skin or something. It's weird. Well, I don't know. There may be some genetic differences, but everybody's going to get infected with the virus. There are black people out there dying too. We just had a black woman who was a principal at a Queen's school. She just passed away. She was 36. So yeah. So I don't get that. Nate, I look forward to the Casa Nate Brody versus Trump, the case Nate Brody versus Trump. I hope. Oh yeah, that'd be great. If he was to sue, oh my God, that'd be like great. We'll definitely read his case live. But then I got to shut up because I know when I have my attorney, he's gonna be like, oh, don't talk about it. Don't be like Steve, that guy. Talk about the case and destroy your chances. No. Anything else for me? Trump. Now, some people have asked me about my opinion about how Trump is handling it. I know he's gotten 50% of the people, or 53% of the people are saying that he's doing a great job. Just to be clear, so it's very clear on how I think Trump has been handling it. Trump is an idiot. I'm just being, I voted for both Republicans and for Democrats. For instance, Giuliani. I supported Mike Bloomberg when he was a Republican. He went to independent. Blah, blah, blah. Bush, the first time against Gore, I voted for Gore. The second time against Kerry, I voted for Bush. I voted for Obama twice because I liked Obama. But yeah, so it's so I'm someone who goes either way. I can vote for a Democrat if I like what they're saying. I can vote for a Republican. I can vote for an independent. I have cast votes for all different types of candidates, no matter what their political, no matter what party they were from. But I think personally, just Trump he's incompetent. The man is incompetent. And and I say that to say this. If you really want to see how incompetent Trump is, listen to the questions that people ask him when he does these news conferences. And what you should do is take the question and put it up on the screen. I think I'm going to do that. Take the question and put it up on the screen, and then listen to his answer while looking at the actual question, and it'll be apparent in itself how incompetent the person is. You can do this for anybody. If you put the question that people are asking him on the screen while he's answering it, you will see how incompetent the man is. He just, it's sad. It's sad because I think everyone in the country understands how serious this is. And by him saying, remember he was saying they were going to open up later this week because, people die from car accidents. And it was his own CDC guy who said that was a stupid analogy. He said that's a stupid analogy. It doesn't even apply here. We have 50,000 people who don't drive cars. He said, no, that's stupid. That's a stupid analogy. It doesn't make any sense. That's his CDC people saying that. So if you have your professionals, the people who work for you, the people who are telling you that the analogies that you're making are stupid, then, I don't know what else I can tell you. His CDC people saying the analogies that Trump are using are bad analogies. I don't have to say it, but I think if I was to say it, I think people think that you're against Trump. I think there's some things that Trump did that are good. And think about his incompetence goes so far that he's blaming Obama. He's still blaming Obama 3.5 years later. He's almost got a full term in. And he's saying it's Obama's fault. 3.5 years later. Just imagine at my job, if I was there to be able to blame the guy who worked before me 3.5 years ago. Oh yeah, it's his fault that he did this. Are you really? Are you crazy? Are you insane? He's been gone for 3.5 years. So that's just the way Trump works. It's just the way, and I think it's just the way most of the people who support him just think. I have friends, some of my friends for life. I'm talking about people who I've known for such a long time, and they are staunch Trump supporters. And when you show them the truth, they just pretend it doesn't happen. Like there's one Trump supporter who is it's a prosecutor, who's a prosecutor, and we were going over Trump, why he likes Trump and all that stuff. So we were talking about whether Trump was a criminal or not. So I was like, yeah, he's obviously an unindicted co-conspirator. So the guy said, no, he's not. He was trying to maneuver it. But then I said, well, fuck it. Let's just read the Michael Cohen's indictment. And when we read through it. This is what it says. He had to admit, yes, Trump is an unindicted co-conspirator. But it doesn't matter because he'll never be prosecuted, and they should change the law anyway. Like, a prosecutor is rationalizing a president committing a criminalized act. So, I just think really at this point, no matter what lens you look at, if you're looking at it from a conservative lens, no matter what he does is going to be right. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. So, the fact that all pandemics have a certain level of virulence to them, like H1N1 or whatever. But I think our problems are compounded with this idiot in the White House. You need somebody who's going to make decisions, based on science and not just because I got a good feeling. Like, think about it. He was out there a couple of weeks ago telling people we had an FDA approved drug. The FDA had to come out and say that's a lie. But they didn't say it's a lie because why? Because their boss is the president. But that was a lie. So we need to, we just got to call it what it is. The guy's an incompetent scumbag who just got lucky and became president, and now we got to deal with it. And because of his choices, we may lose millions of people. Because of his poor choices, I just hope he listens to the doctors and and just does it. And while the hospitals here in New York City get overrun, hopefully he can come through it. And to be fair, 4,000 new ventilators, they have been coming through. They have been supplying. They have, think about it. In 2 weeks, they have about 4,000 to 5,000 more beds, hospital bed and respirators coming to New York City. So they have been doing, so things have been working in a positive direction. It's not all bad. Trump is not all bad, but I think it's his idiocy and his incompetence is compounding the issue. He is standing in the way of progress in terms of defeating this thing. And I think some of the people, like what's happening in Florida, look at what's happening in Louisiana. Louisiana has the highest, new amount of new cases, the highest infection rate right now going on. So it's crazy. He is nestling. I hope he listens to the doctors. However, I don't think he will. Well, at a point, Trump is trying to make the people are going to die anyway. So let's open up the economy and let them die. Like the lieutenant governor in Texas, he's saying, well, hell, you've lived a long life. Now it's time to sacrifice your life for the economy. That's what they're telling people out there. I don't think we get, if it's between 2 to 3 million deaths or, us sheltering in place for a couple of months, then you can always get back your economy, but you can't get back your life. You know what I'm saying? That's the choices that we have to make. So, all right, guys. Well, listen, thanks again for watching this. My name is Nate. I hope you guys like these daily updates. I might be back tomorrow. I'll see to do my daily briefing. But if not, I will probably see you guys on Monday. So if anything, please stay safe out there. Practice your social distancing, and hopefully we will be able to get through this together. And we're Americans, And for those of you who are not in America, sorry, but we are Americans, and we will prevail. And all those, as a matter of fact, forget about we are Americans. We are human beings, and together we'll get through this. And that's just what it needs to be done. My last thing from Nestling, it says, Nate Brody, those people who want to save the economy are like Lord Farquaad from Shrek. Some of you may die, but that's a sacrifice I am willing to make. Yeah, it's always a great sacrifice when you're able to, you want someone else to die, to save you. So, but again, we will get through this. And so people just that scare you up before I leave, but there may be a second wave, so we may have to go through this again, but that's down the line. All right, guys, you guys take care. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.